Hello everyone, welcome to the next video. So in this game we are going to look at the game between Lerner and Krum Georgiev. So let's see what happened. So bishop g5, knight e7, of course very logical, preparing e5, queen d2, e5, d5, knight c5, attacking the pawn on e4, so we play f3, and very typical move from black. He doesn't want to worry about b4 at any moment. He plays a5, h4, and queen e8. Also going away from this pin makes a lot of sense. And g4 was played, and black played h5. It looks a little bit counterintuitive, so to say, but you know, in this averbakh variation, there are some quite deep things, so to say. So, like, even though white is pushing the pawns on the king side, it's black who has to play there, you know, on paper in King's Indian. But basically, the goal of white originally is just to close everything down here on the king side, and then later, because of this extra space, win on the queen side. So black doesn't want any of that, and you know, like h5, it doesn't mean that we are already closing. I mean, most probably at some moment with h6 we are closing, but if black is going away with all pieces, we may also attack black's king. So h5, and now a very instructive moment. So we have basically an opportunity to take a pawn here, but that would be a huge mistake, because you know, we have to understand that we are just helping black in that way. So how it is? So it's bishop takes f6, bishop takes on f6, g h5. So black's idea is obviously not to take back here with h5, because it looks awful. Like queen can come to h6, for example. It looks very scary. But black is playing king g7, very strong move. And suddenly this bishop is actually a pretty good piece. At some moment I will learn how to do green again. Okay, just don't know at this moment. So this is a good piece, even though I cannot do green. Okay, now I put the shift, right click. So this bishop is strong. It's not just standing on g7, and the rook is coming to h8. So actually the king side will be not closed, and it will be black who has quite nice play there, despite being down a pawn. So for example, after h takes g, fg, it's already a slightly preferable position for black. If you look at these pieces, they are completely without a job, and you know, these bishops and knight is also very well placed. Queen e7, rook h8 is coming. And black will most probably regain the material here on h4. So this is not something we want. So this is a pretty important to understand, that this bishop f6 with then spoiling our structure is not really good for us. So instead, white very correctly played long castle. So black went h takes g4. Of course, we cannot take back now because the e4 pawn is hanging. So now bishop f6 was played. Bishop f6 and fg. So now you can ask that what is the difference here? I mean, and it's pretty big. First of all, our structure remains compact. So it's not like the pawn is on f3 and, you know, we cannot push basically anything. We can push g5 here, for example. And the bishop is well restricted at this moment. Also, which is very important, that the knight can develop to f3. And, you know, black that couldn't create that type of counterplay which he could previously. So for example, he played queen e7. So we saw a similar move or like similar idea for black in the previous variation, but now black is playing g5. Sorry, white is playing g5, forcing black's bishop back to g7. So now there is, no activity for black on the h file. The bishop is not active, and the game did not open up in a way black wanted on the queen side. So now knight f3, and already h5 is coming. So now no real defenders. So the knight from f6 is gone, and okay, this bishop is the only defensive piece around the king. And black played f5 here. I mean, it's hard to criticize this move, but it is simply already huge trouble for black. So, very interesting. So just to compare this position with knight f3 with the one which we see here. So here our pieces are passive and black has very easy play and we have no attack whatsoever. But we are up a pawn. But it's not, this material is not very good. And here we are not up a pawn, but black is very passive and we have clear attack. So yeah, black played f5 as I said in the game. I also looked at what happens if bishop g4. If if black wants to stop this h5. So you could maybe stop the video a little bit and try to guess which move to play. So I mean, okay, there are options here. I mean, if you went for any move with the knight, I would say that you are in the right direction. So to trade this bishop on g4 is a good idea, and then to go for h5. But of course, if we can do it right away, then why not? And actually, white wants to go here with the knight, and then maybe here. So that's why this is very strong. So for example, if gh, knight h4, we trade bishops, knight is coming like no, bishop e2, probably knight f5 intermediate is already very strong, and with such knight, and then okay, let's say black plays queen d8. I mean, I was a little bit worried now that this is hanging with a check, but actually we play something like king b1, and now we are down 2 pawns. But I believe it's fair to say that black has to resign at this moment. So rook g1 is coming, and black is going to lose a lot of material here. So it's game over. So that happens in case of gh, but what happens if bishop takes h5? Well, still the knight on f5 is worth probably more than one rook. So we just take this one, gh and knight h4. So we got rid of that bishop, which could protect the square. Knight is coming to f5, rook h1, and basically we will just checkmate black. I mean, he cannot do. I mean, his counterplay is nowhere on the queen side, and he simply cannot defend himself on the king side. So bishop g4 was not better. Black played f5, trying to create some mess, and it's a little bit confused white, I believe. So I would again suggest you just, we have a lot of options here. So this is the critical moment of the game. So just to stop the video a little bit and, try to figure out a way how to continue. So in the game, it was gf6, which I don't like so much. It's logical because it is opening the g file for the rook, but it also makes this bishop a little bit better. So what I believe was strongest, supported by the help of computer, obviously, that is h5. So again, the most critical is to bring the knight here, and the knight is attacking key squares, and this is also opening up the king side, and white's attack is pretty much crushing here. So one possible variation is f takes on e4 and knight h4. Now knight g6 is a big threat, bishop to f5. Now queen e3. Takes, knight can come to d3, but we just move away, knight f4, and the main thing is that we managed to eliminate this this bishop, which will make the light square super difficult. So okay, here we have already different options, like knight e4 is good, for example, but it's a very nice suggestion from the computer at this moment to get rid of this knight, basically. So to give a check here, sorry, to play bishop g4 to force rook g5 and to give a check on e6. So black cannot really allow this bishop on e6 for long. I mean, knight e4 is coming, and if he takes, then we both have knight e4, knight d5, queen e4 coming with queen h7, and this bishop is completely bad. So yeah, this position is just lost for black. So this h5 was the best. We can keep the center under control even if black takes. So continuing the attack with knight h4 was the strongest. So instead gf, and black played rook f6. Probably the best chance for black was to play queen f6 with the idea of playing queen f4 and trying to trade the queens. So his king is weaker, he's definitely interested in trading queens, and even if he plays something like rook d1, queen f4 I believe is the best, and after rook g6 somehow just trading at some moment, or king h7 first and maybe bishop h6. So even though black is losing a pawn, he has chances to survive here. Instead rook f6 allows white to continue the attack. Queen f8, knight g5, bishop h6 and h5. So of course this king is in a very difficult situation, but what gives hope for black is this bishop on h6, which is creating an unpleasant pin. So queen g7, and the again critical position. I would suggest you to again stop the video and take a look, like what could we do. Many moves are possible. So if you found the move, then you can be very proud, I believe, king to b1. So basically what we want, to play eventually a move with the knight, and for that, as long as the king is in the pin, with other pieces we can move away, but if the king is in check, then we cannot. So yeah, we just put the king into safety and preparing to move the knight. So bishop d7 was played, and now queen e1. So now the knight is free to move. Black brought the rook into the game, then h takes g6 and rook takes g6. And yeah, this is the, again, very important moment of the game. So not an easy move for white, but he played knight f3, which makes sense. I mean, we have the huge threat of just trading the rooks and then pin and win the queen. But there was an even stronger continuation, knight to e6. So we could have gone forward. So what are the lines here? So if knight takes on e6, then simply de. So this is very easy to see because bishop e6, everything is coming with the tempo. Queen g6, now we pin the queen, rook g1, bishop g5, and after queen g3, the bishop cannot move and it also cannot be protected, so we are winning a piece and the game. So what is more critical is bishop takes on e6, d takes on e6, and now knight takes on e6. And it's again your turn. So what could be the next strong move here for white? So we have one piece which is not doing anything at this moment. Play c5. So we want to activate the bishop from c4, and it really hurts for black. Best is to go knight f4. Let's say we take, rook g6, queen g6. Okay, rook g1, so we are pinning the queen, bishop g5, bishop c4 check, king g7, and the position is not winning by force, but we have opposite colored bishops, and okay, black's opposite colored bishop is basically just under a huge pin, and black can hardly make any moves. So I would suggest to make a move like a3 and to ask black, okay, what is what is going to happen here. I mean, we can also play king a2 next, and combine threats like queen g3, or maybe moving the queen to the other side of the board. I mean, black is completely paralyzed in such positions, so it is completely losing, especially in a practical game. So this knight e6 was very, very strong. Instead, white went for knight f3, which again looks very, very tempting. But black had one possibility to stay in the game, so rook f4 was correct. Takes. So the idea, of course, is that if rook to g1 now, then there is rook to g4. But white played knight h4. And even though it's very difficult and extremely risky to play like that, queen g7 was correct for black. So the point is that rook g1, bishop g5 only move, knight f3, and then rook g4. So basically black stops the pin this way. Okay, rook looks like it's some x-ray and some knight g5, but actually black is holding his position together here. So white has to probably try something else, but it's not obvious what. So I suspect position is still better for white, but it's not. If this rook g1 doesn't work, then suddenly it's not so clear. So instead, black went queen f6, but knight g2 is trapping the rook, unfortunately for black. So okay, here no, and if it comes to f2, then I guess simply rook h6. Next move, I mean, if rook e2, then we also have check, but we also have simply rook f6. Our queen is protected on e1, so this would have been lost. So black went for rook e4, but yeah, of course, rook was a main defender, and now queen h4, and yeah, this was already an elementary win for white. I mean, the attack even continued with like rook g8 ideas without the queens. So bishop f5 was played, rook g8, king d7, knight h4, and the bishop is lost. So if it goes to h7, then rook g7 check, and if it goes to h3, then rook here, double attack on the bishops, and the game is lost. Okay, so yeah, I believe for us, probably this is the most instructive moment of the game, but even later, when there were huge complications to go for the attack, or to sacrifice here to put a knight on f5, are quite instructive ideas for white. And yeah, also this knight e6. So yeah, interesting game overall, I would say. So, but yeah, also this h5 long castle, I believe, which is worth remembering, that we are not going for material, for very passive pieces, but rather material equality, where we can go for the attack. I hope you like this video, and see you soon with the next one.